From Josh Segarra teasing his return in the next Scream movie, to the actor wanting it to be a freaking musical, here's how a Scream 6 star teased his return for Scream 7. So why is Segarra so confident about the next installment? Well, for one, Paramount totally killed it with Scream 6. And so the 7th one is basically a given at this point. But despite the movie's massive success, the creators have yet to officially confirm Scream 7. And despite the uncertainty, Josh Segarra is confident that he'll be back in the next installment. The actor played Sam's boyfriend in Scream 6. And if you know the franchise, the killer is mostly the love interest of the protagonist. In this case, it's him. So fans expected him to be the killer. But turns out it wasn't him, which seriously increases his chances of returning to Scream 7. And Segarra is super excited about it. Honestly, it'll be fun to have him back. Like, I absolutely love Sam and Danny's relationship, and it'd be great to see it continue. I mean, think about it. It'd be really cool if he came back, like Danny met the Carpenter sisters in New York City. And after what happened in Scream 6, there's no way the core four will stick around there. So the big question for the 7 is, will Danny tag along with the group and take things to the next level with Sam? Only time will tell. But it's kind of weird though that in both the OG Scream and the 2022's remake, the killers were dating the protagonist. So why did they switch things up in Scream 6? Could it be that they were saving Segarra's Danny for the future? Speaking of which, did the actor indirectly confirm Scream 7? I mean, the guy's super confident he'll get a part in it. So does he know something we don't? Well, before we get to that, you gotta understand that Scream fans are always a little cautious when new characters show up. Because in most cases, they end up being the villain. But Segarra seems like a good guy who really means well. And even though he proved his intentions, fans were still unsure about what he really wanted. The actor even joked that no matter what Danny did, he was always the suspect, and some people still think he's the killer. And even though Danny said that he just wants to be nice and protect Sam, it wasn't enough to convince us that he won't be the villain in Scream 7, which, in all honesty, ought to have been verified by now. Like, they confirmed Scream 6 just a few weeks after dropping the 5th one, but we still haven't heard anything about 7. Hell, even Tyler Gillette and Matt Bettinelli-Olpin, who directed both Scream 5 and 6, don't have a solid future in the franchise at this point. Still, with the massive success of Scream 6, it'd be stupid not to include the duo, considering that they've both fallen in love with the franchise. Gillette told comicbook.com that he feels like it's tough not to fall in love with what you're creating and that he loves Scream. Well, who doesn't? I mean, there's a reason it has outlived other slashers. It's no secret that Scream is one of the most well-known slasher movie series out there, and we have Wes Craven to thank for that. The horror legend started the awesome franchise back in '96, and unlike other slasher flicks, Scream always manages to please both die-hard fans and regular folks. You'd think with 6 movies under its belt, there'd be a couple of stinkers in the mix, right? Wrong. Yeah, some movies are definitely better than others, but overall, the series has kept up with what it set out to do since the first one came out in the 1990s. And where many horror franchises have stumbled, Scream managed to stay on point and keep killing it at the box office. It's actually hard to believe that Scream is still going strong and doing better than ever. Even big slasher movie series like Halloween and Friday the 13th have had some epic failures. I mean, the franchise is having a total comeback moment right now. Scream 5 and 6 both were major hits, which really hyped the fans for the future of this series. The films have been true to their formula and still managed to give a fresh take on the concept, like how they switched things up by shooting the 6th film in New York City. And honestly, it looks like it all worked out, since the movie was the biggest hit in the franchise. It's crazy to think that Scream 6 made a whopping $44.5 million at the box office on opening weekend. That's way more than any of the other movies in the franchise ever made in their first weekend. And did you know that Scream 3 held the previous record? Yeah, it made $34.7 million back in 2000. The main reason why Scream 6 did so well during its opening weekend is that there weren't any big movies to compete with, and the Jenna Ortega horror flick's only real competition was Creed 3. But that's not all. Another reason for its success was the horror trend set in January and February. Those months are widely considered the dump months in the film industry, meaning there's really no competition during them. And the fact that 2 of the most successful original horror movies, Megan and Cocaine Bear, came out during these months, made way for even more successful franchise horror films like Scream. But the casting decision also played a huge role in the movie's success. You might think dropping one of the main characters would badly impact the movie, but Scream 6 made up for the loss with stars like Ortega, Jasmine Savoy, Jack Champion, and even Dermot Mulroney. And honestly, casting Jenna was probably the best decision on the creator's part. She's one of the biggest young actors in the horror genre right now thanks to Wednesday. And let me tell you, most of the people on the opening weekend were there to see it largely because of Jenna. But is it enough for the creators to consider a seventh? Well, at the Scream 6's premiere, co-director Matt Bettinelli-Olpin said he was hoping for a Scream 7 even if he wasn't a part of it, hinting that Paramount might be looking for a new director. Whatever the case may be, I'm just glad that the seventh film is still on the table, especially after how well the last movie set it up. Now, even though the final act played out really quickly and it might have been a little confusing, Scream 6 actually made Sam's ex, Richie's character, way more complicated. The dude used to be this total movie geek who was kind of evil and was always trying to copy the original Ghostface. But now he's turned into this super scary ghost-faced expert turned martyr and even a cult leader from the afterlife. And even after watching Scream 6, it's safe to say that Richie is way cooler than the other ghost faces in the series. And honestly, I think Jack Quaid's character might make another appearance as the killer dweeb. Yeah, he might be dead, but who cares? Characters always come back in horror sequels. Who knows, maybe he'll pop up in a flashback, or we'll find out that he somehow magically made it out alive in Scream 5. Either way, it's obvious that Richie's story isn't over yet. And it could make for a great plot in the next film, especially since Sam has now found a new man. So they can even add a bit of jealousy for extra flavoring. Now that'd be a good plot. But if you ask me, Segura's proposed plot is even better. Even though we don't know much about the next movie, Danny's got some wild ideas about what he wants to see. During an interview with Inverse, he says he's down for Scream 7 to be a musical. Yes, you heard that right, a freaking musical.
Do we go with after everybody is killed, right? Just laid out. Ghostface just swipes everybody. And all of a sudden you hear like Danny come in, he's like, get on your feet. You know? And everyone's just like slightly looking up being like, not now, Danny. Not now, man.
The actor joked that if it were to happen, it'll be funny but still a bit spooky at the same time. Can you imagine that? Maybe Ghostface has some hidden singing skills we don't know about. And the best part is, the franchise can actually benefit from the change. After the films taking place in the small town of Woodsboro, Scream 6 finally made the move to NYC, which helped greatly in generating early buzz. This proved that making changes like these can totally help a franchise like Scream, which started like 20 years ago. Even though they've made some adjustments in every movie, people still believe that the first 4 movies are kind of the same and that Scream has overused its formula. So, to keep things interesting, maybe they should try doing a musical. That could be pretty cool. I mean, imagine if the movie went in a totally different direction and added some singing and dancing. Now, there's no way they'll actually do it, but if they do, it'd be unforgettable. So there you have it. From the actor wanting it to be a freaking musical, to Josh Segura teasing his return in the next movie in the franchise. That was how a Scream 6 star teased his return for Scream 7.